following public service announcement is being brought to you part by the good folks that support the dope. It's told by D2G and Red Young. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's on with something like a phenomenon. It's food for thought for those starving through Ramadan. Nothing less than the best, that's what you rockin' with. So take notes on this newness, cause you'll be jockin' in. Precious of the bunch, plenty game that we put you on. Fashion, music, we give it to the good is gone. Keeping up with the time, so you'll be in the know. Nothing but exclusives, heads up on who's next to blow. It's only dopeness we give to the masses. The promise guaranteed, ain't no pushing the whackness. So say your theatrics for plays if you've been a hater. Plus the lovely Carly Brown's your facilitator. Lead the water when we bring that fire. Here's the industry biz #1 supplier. Boy, them other stations don't want no smoke. Keep your ears tuned in and support the dope. Yeah, looking at my clock and it's about that time. 7:30 Central when we hit online. And we coming to you live from the Ghost. So tell your people settle in and support the dope. Yeah, looking at my clock and it's about that time. 7:30 Central when we hit online. And we coming to you live from the Ghost. So tell your people settle in and support the dope for sure.
You are now tuned in to Support the Dope Radio, which is designed to give a platform to the best, most talented, and dopest artists in the city of Chicago and equip them with the power to tell their own story in their own words. I am your host, your homegirl, CB. Welcome back. If you joined us last week, you heard the season premiere of Season 4 with my girl, Soraya, and you've seen her on NBC at The Voice. If you've missed it, please feel free to head over to supportthedope.com to check out the playback on the web player for that. It was a really, really dope and inspirational episode, so make sure you check that. At the top of the show, of course, you heard my theme song. Can I tell you how much I love the theme song? I dance to it every single time I play it. It is my ringtone. I have no shame. If you're ever out with me and you hear it ringing, don't blink, don't think twice. It is my theme song. So shout out to the homie Reg Young for producing that for me, the homie D2G who was dropping those bars on there. They've both been doing really big things. We try to keep you guys up to date on, what previous guests are doing from here to there at the top of the show if I can. And I mean, they do so much. I can't list everything, but I can certainly try. So Reg Young, definitely shout out to him. He has just launched his own production company called Algorithm Entertainment. Please go check that out because he has his next beat tape coming out pretty soon, Beatdown 3. If you haven't heard Beatdown 1 and 2, you can go check those out on SoundCloud. D2G, of course, is everywhere you want to be in the city of Chicago because every time I look up, he is hosting or emceeing somewhere. So please go follow him. Instagram at 2G Make a Move, I believe it is. I believe on all platforms. So follow him to find out where he is, and look for him to do dope stuff like Sway in the Morning, which he did, I think, since he's been on the show. They were both season 1 guests, so they've done a whole lot since then. So go check them out. Shout out to the homies for holding me down, as always. Today is Tuesday, March 13th, 2018, and this is season 4, episode 2. So let's dive right in. Tonight's guest, a Cincinnati native. He is an up-and-coming R&B artist in Chicago. Fusing R&B with his love for jazz and hip-hop, his unique sound and style has garnered the attention of Jet, ABC's Windy City Live, SoulTrain.com, and Cincinnati's #1 radio station, 101.1 The Wiz, to name a few. He released his debut EP, The Ruff Draft, in January 2016, which debuted in iTunes Top 100 on the R&B Soul charts. Since its release, he's been awarded great opportunities, such as opening for Grammy-award winning artists Chrisette Michele, Teedra Moses, King Michelle, Ginuwine, and R&B group Dru Hill. He was also selected to headline the Bud Light stage, opening night at the 2017 Taste of Chicago. And now, with his new EP on the way, entitled Harvey Avenue, he is showing no signs of slowing down. He is my guest for tonight, and none other than the smooth, the soulful singer-songwriter, Justin Ruff. What's up, Justin?
I love that introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. I was starting to run out of breath for a minute. I said, "Oh, this boy has done a lot. That boy good."
Right.
But thanks for
Man, thank
joining
you
me.
so
I
much
feel
for
like
having
it's
me.
been forever. 'Cause I'm like, I'm gonna get
Yeah,
Justin
it's
on the
been a
show. I'm gonna
while.
get Justin on the show. So here we are, season 4. Welcome, welcome. So
Yeah,
how you
and
feel?
congrats to you for making it to season 4. Yeah.
Thank you. I said, last year flew by, and
Hmm.
before I knew it, I had 3 seasons in the books, and I was kind of just like, how did I do that? Because I kind of, I kind of really didn't see doing them like back to back as quickly as I did. So actually, before I came back from season 4, I took a little bit of a break between season 3 and season 4, and I said I think people will forgive me for that and enjoy a little vacation themselves. And hopefully they'll come back and check us out. So maybe only doing 2 seasons this year, but we'll see, because I can sometimes get ahead of myself. So I may end up, before I know it, have another 3 seasons down this year, but we'll see. But
Right.
thank you. Yeah, it's just however how much energy I have, I guess I should say, throughout the year.
Right.
But Tuesdays are definitely like my favorite day of the week during the season, because I get to talk to all of you guys and introduce you to some people that may not have heard you, and reintroduce you to people that you know, your fans. So it's really, really cool.
Hmm.
And dope, and sometimes I get to learn things about you guys that I don't even know yet. So it's really cool to be able to
Right.
sit down and talk to you guys. So let's, I've never had you on the show before, so let's talk about where you got your start. I know I mentioned in your introduction that you are a Cincinnati native, right?
Yes, born and raised Cincinnati.
Yeah. How old were you when you left Cincinnati?
I was 21 when I left.
Okay.
I decided that I wanted to get away. There's not a lot of opportunity in Cincinnati for up and coming artists. So the closest thing was Chicago. That's as far as my mom would let me go.
Okay.
At 21, I know, right? Mama's boy. So
Yeah.
she didn't want me to go too far. So Chicago was the next best thing. She's like, it's a few hours away. So if you go anywhere, that's where it'll be. So came to
Okay. Fair
Chicago, and
enough.
yeah.
Cool. So did you ever want to go anywhere else? Like, did you have in your mind that you wanted to go somewhere else besides Chicago, or was it just Chicago?
You know,
You just knew that that's what it was going to be.
well, Chicago was one of the options. I've just heard a lot about Atlanta and their music scene, New York, LA, just some of the bigger places I wanted I still want to venture out to eventually. And if it's not, residing there, at least going and hitting up some of the different venues and kind of networking in those areas. But Chicago's been good to me so far, so I've enjoyed being here.
Yeah, we're all right, huh?
Right.
We passed the test.
Right, it's
At
all right.
least the preliminary test. So,
Right.
how did you get your start singing? Did you start as a young child, like a lot of singers, or did that come later?
I did. My mom actually sings, and so I grew up surrounded by music in the house. She did. She had a band that did a lot of R&B, soul, funk music. So they covered a lot of Shaka Khan, Earth, Wind and Fire, Anita Baker, Patti LaBelle, different artists like that. So I grew up around a lot of that music coming up, and then as I started to get older, I started to really get into jazz. So I attended a performing arts high school back in Cincinnati where I studied vocal jazz, and just learned a lot about the genre of music and different artists, and just a lot about myself as well, and just kind of fusing that in with what I grew up on, which is the R&B soul thing. And then you kind of got, the mix of both worlds, and which birthed out Justin Ruff.
Okay. Now I have to ask, because it's something I've always wondered. Is Justin Ruff your biological name?
Yeah, that is my full name.
Okay.
And it's so funny because, when I was younger, a lot of people thought that I should get, a lot of friends of mine thought that I should have a different name. Some artists have names that aren't their biological
like their
names. And
stage
so,
name.
right. And so I tried that for a minute and it didn't work. And I just said, okay, I'll just stick to Justin Ruff.
Stick to the
It's too hard trying to do everything else. Right.
But it worked. You came up with the Ruff Draft. I was just like, oh, that's catchy. Okay. but then, it made me wonder. I was like, is Ruff actually his last name? I'm gonna have to ask him that on the show.
Right.
So yeah, that's
Ruff.
cool. Did you, with you going to a performing arts high school, did you actually learn how to play any other instruments, or have you ever wanted to?
I started piano lessons in high school, but I used to be very stubborn, and so I just couldn't sit there, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is taking too long. Like, I'm the type of person where I want to get it now. Like, I want it to just come effortlessly.
Yeah.
Kind of like singing did for a minute. Of course, you learn through performing and, doing shows, and just, you learn a lot about yourself through that aspect. And so that kind of trained me up in that lane. But as far as piano and guitar, like, now I regret it. I love guitar. That's like my favorite instrument ever, and I wish that I could play, but it's, and I think I probably will, take some time and learn eventually, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, no,
it
I
hasn't
completely
happened
understand. Yeah, because I played a couple instruments, myself, but because I don't practice anymore, like, I just didn't, at some point, it wasn't a priority schedule-wise, and I regret letting them fall kind of like by the wayside, and I've always said I'm gonna get back to those, and I've also wanted to learn how to play guitar too, and I haven't picked that up at all yet, so I say at some point I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna stay on you about learning the guitar. You could feel free to let me do say the same thing to me. I won't curse you out. We're gonna hold each other accountable. So,
and as a singer, I think it's so important to have that skill set. And so I do kind of beat myself up now because, you look at, some of these artists who, they just have, these great ears and just this musicality that just blows your mind. And it's like, man, if I had just taken the time at a younger age to, really dive in and have that discipline, how much further along would I be now? But I guess everything is, we're saying that everything happens for a reason. Everybody has their own process to getting where they need to go. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at least you understand the, importance of having that musicality because, to be honest, there are a lot of singers out here who, couldn't care less about whether or not they understood that, and it shows. So being able to understand, some of those components, like, that fall in music theory, or even just working on different harmonies, and especially when you're trying to be creative about different types of harmonies and melodies, and being able to decide which key you want to, like, instead of someone telling you what key you have to sing it in, you want to be able to, be able to switch it if you want to, or pick your own, and things you can't really do unless you've had that, type of training. So it's important. So
right, definitely.
You'll get there. I have faith in you. So who were you listening to growing up? Who were some of your favorite artists?
My friends still talk about me about this. I listened to a little bit of everything, but I wasn't listening to what everybody else was listening to, unfortunately. So there were a lot of things that some of my friends had to catch me up on. A lot of the 90s R&B artists that, I wasn't as familiar with until 2000s, unfortunately. So, I was listening to Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, Charlie Parker, a lot of old jazz greats.
Nice.
And then, of course, people like Anita Baker, Earth, Wind and Fire, Shaka Khan, people like that. So, yeah, so I had,
that's
it was
clear.
It went a little backwards for me.
Okay. Well, I mean, that, like you said, everything kind of happens, for a reason. And I think that kind of comes into play as well with just being true to who you are and, not necessarily going with the crowd just because, all of your friends are listening to a particular artist or a style of music, being able to be in tune with what it is you actually like and can appreciate, is going to carry you much further because, we get to a point in life, where we suddenly look up and we realize we really don't know who we are as individuals. We don't spend enough time, looking at those things that make us happy or things that we like. We spend so much time trying to please everyone else or trying to fit in, and that those types of things are very, very valuable, that yourself, and that's going to help so much in your artistry and defining who you are as an artist, and even I would imagine with your songwriting as well. Like how would you describe your sound to someone who hasn't had the opportunity to hear you yet?
It's definitely